You've heard inflation is just prices going up, right? That's what they tell us. It's the simple, digestible explanation. But I started to see something else, something far more deliberate, something that ignored me because it didn't quite fit the neat little box we're given. It hit me that what we call inflation isn't some random economic weather pattern. It's a system, and the title we landed on really captures the uncomfortable truth. Inflation, your ignorance, is their gain. It began when I looked at my own life and the lives of people around me. We work hard. We get raises. Sometimes, we try to save, but year after year, it feels like we're treading water, or even slowly sinking. That feeling, that nagging sense that the goalposts are constantly moving further away. That's what got me thinking. Why is it that the same effort, the same paycheck, buys less and less over time? And more importantly, if that value is disappearing from my hands, where is it going? It doesn't just evaporate into thin air. That's when the idea of a transfer started to solidify. It's not a direct theft, not someone picking your pocket in broad daylight. It's far more insidious, almost invisible if you're not looking for it. While most of us perceive inflation as just everything getting more expensive, it's actually a mechanism by which the value of the cash you hold, the money in your savings account, and the purchasing power of a stagnant salary diminishes. This isn't an accident. Now, who benefits? Well, think about who owns assets that typically appreciate or even skyrocket during inflationary periods. We're talking about real estate, certain stocks, commodities, which, for anyone unfamiliar, are basic raw materials like oil, gold, agricultural products. People who hold these kinds of assets often see their net worth increase, not just nominally, but in real terms. Their wealth grows faster than prices rise. At the same time, if you have significant debt with a fixed interest rate, like a mortgage taken out years ago, inflation is actually your friend. You're paying back that loan with money that is worth less than the money you borrowed. The real burden of your debt shrinks. So, you have one group, often those with financial know-how or existing capital, whose assets are growing or whose debts are shrinking in real value. And you have another group, often the majority, whose cash savings are eroding and whose wages aren't keeping up. That right there is the transfer. It's a redistribution of purchasing power happening silently, continuously. This is where the ignorance part of the title becomes so crucial. If you don't understand this dynamic, you're a passive victim. You see prices go up. You grumble. Maybe you cut back on a few things, but you don't see the underlying machinery at work. You don't realize that the very nature of the money you're working for is being altered. One of the most brilliant deceptions in this whole process is the nominal wage increase. Let's say you get a 4% raise. You feel good, right? Your boss claps you on the back. You see a bigger number on your paycheck. But if inflation for that year is running at 6%, you've actually taken a 2% pay cut in terms of what you can actually buy. That 4% raise is a placebo. It's designed to make you feel like you're making progress, to keep you content, while the reality is your economic standing might be worsening. How can you apply this understanding in your life? It's about shifting your perspective. When you get a raise, don't just look at the percentage. Immediately compare it to the real inflation rate affecting your personal basket of goods and services. Not just the official government figure, which can often feel disconnected from our actual expenses for housing, food, and energy. You need to calculate your real wage increase or decrease. This simple act of looking beyond the surface number is the first step to breaking free from the illusion. And this connects to another disturbing thought I had. Inflation is a form of time theft. Think about it. You work, say, 40 hours a week. You trade your time, your life, energy for money. If you save some of that money, you're essentially storing your past labor, your past time. But if inflation is constantly eating away at the value of that saved money, it's effectively devaluing your past efforts. You will have to work more hours in the future to achieve the same financial outcome or maintain the same standard of living that your past self could have achieved with less work. It's like a leak in the bucket where you store your life's effort. The implication for our lives here is profound. It means that simply saving money in a traditional bank account, especially during periods of noticeable inflation, might not be saving at all. It might be a slow, guaranteed loss of purchasing power. This understanding should push us to learn about ways to make our saved time, our saved labor, work for us in a way that at least preserves its value against inflation, if not grows it. This isn't about becoming a high-risk speculator, but about fundamental, financial, So, the real gap, the real chasm, isn't just between the traditionally defined rich and poor. It's increasingly between those who understand how money flows, how value is preserved and grown, and those who simply use money for daily transactions without a deeper understanding of its changing nature. The financially astute see inflation coming or understand its mechanics, and they position themselves. They shift their holdings from cash to assets that act as a hedge. They might strategically take on good debt at fixed rates. The uninformed, meanwhile, continue to save in cash. watch their wages stagnate in real terms, and wonder why they can't get ahead. Their lack of financial literacy becomes an invisible tax, a continuous drain on their wealth. Who are they who gain? It's not always some shadowy, monolithic entity. It can be governments that find it easier to pay off their massive debts with devalued currency, a stealth form of taxation without legislation. It can be large corporations that can raise prices faster than their costs increase, or that benefit from consumers spending quickly before their money loses more value. And yes, it's individuals who have the knowledge and the means to play this game to their advantage. The system, as it's currently structured, almost inherently favors those who understand its rules over those who don't. When the first pieced all this together, the subtle transfer, the placebo of nominal raises, the theft of past labor, all enabled by a widespread lack of deep financial understanding. It was a sobering moment. It reframed inflation from a dry economic statistic into a very personal, very active force shaping our financial destinies. So, the next time you hear about inflation figures, don't just think about the price of gas or groceries, think about the silent transfer of wealth. Think about whether your earnings are truly keeping pace. Think about the value of your past efforts, and most importantly, consider that the greatest defense against this hidden redistribution isn't just working harder, but understanding better. Because in this particular economic game, your ignorance truly can be their gain. And armed with that knowledge, you can start to change the rules for yourself. So, we've peeled back the layers, understood the game. Now what? How do we actually apply this knowledge, turn this understanding into something beneficial in our daily lives, without needing a finance degree? It starts with small shifts in mindset and habit. Think about your daily spending. Are you just reacting to prices? Or are you consciously choosing where your devaluing cash goes? Even dedicating 15 minutes a week to understanding a new financial term, or how different assets behave, builds your defense. It's like exercise for your financial brain, making you less susceptible. Consider your skills. Investing in yourself, learning new things that increase your earning potential, is an asset inflation can't easily touch. Your abilities hold value. When it's time for that salary talk, don't just accept the number. Know the real inflation rate and discuss your compensation in those terms. This isn't being greedy. It's about preserving your earned value. These aren't grand gestures. They're about being more aware, more intentional. The benefit? You start to insulate yourself from that silent transfer. You begin to make your money and your time work for you, not against you. It's about regaining control, bit by bit. You become an active participant, not just a bystander watching your purchasing power fade. This journey of understanding is ongoing. Keep questioning, keep learning. Thanks for watching and sticking with this. Before you go, I invite you to check out the description below. There's something there that you might find helpful. Take care.